Most people believe wealth starts with money. It doesn't. It starts with how you think about money, long before you have any real amount of it. There's a reason two people can earn the exact same salary for years and end up in completely different financial positions. It's rarely about intelligence. It's rarely even about discipline in the way most people imagine it. It's about a handful of specific thinking patterns that separate people who build wealth from people who don't, patterns that have almost nothing to do with how much they earn. This is what it actually means to think rich. The first pattern: paying yourself first, not last. Most people follow the same sequence every payday. Income arrives. Bills go out. Spending happens. Whatever is left over, if anything, gets saved. The problem with this sequence is obvious once you see it. Saving becomes optional. It depends on a good month, on willpower, on nothing unexpected coming up. And something unexpected almost always comes up. People who build wealth flip that sequence. The moment income arrives, a fixed amount moves into savings or investments automatically, before it's available to spend on anything else. Only what remains gets treated as spendable income. This isn't about the amount. It works with any amount, however small. The mechanism matters more than the number. Automating the decision removes it from your daily willpower entirely. There's no moment where you have to choose to save, because by the time you're deciding what to spend, the saving has already happened. This single shift, treating savings as a fixed, non-negotiable line item instead of a leftover, is arguably the most important financial habit that exists. Everything else compounds on top of it. The second pattern: pricing things by their future, not their sticker price. Almost everyone judges a purchase with the same question: can I afford this right now? If the answer is yes, the purchase usually happens. People who think rich ask a different question: what does this cost me in 5 years, not just today? This is sometimes called the future price of money, not what something costs at the register, but what that same money could have become if it had stayed invested instead. A relatively modest purchase, viewed only through today's price tag, looks harmless. Viewed through its future price, what it could have grown into over 10 or 20 years left compounding, it often looks very different. This doesn't mean never spending. It means spending with awareness of the trade-off being made, rather than treating money as if it only exists in the present moment. This kind of thinking changes behavior without requiring extreme restriction. It simply makes the real cost of a decision visible, instead of hidden behind a price tag that only shows today's number. The third pattern: spending on purpose, not spending everywhere. There's a common myth that being good with money means being cheap, cutting corners on everything, denying yourself anything enjoyable, living smaller than necessary. That's not what wealth-building behavior actually looks like. People who build real wealth are often not cheap at all. They spend generously on the small number of things that genuinely matter to them, and they cut, sometimes ruthlessly, everything that doesn't. The alternative, spending a little bit on almost everything, because it's available, because everyone else has it, because it seems reasonable in isolation, is far more damaging than most people realize. Individually, each purchase looks harmless. Collectively, they consume nearly all disposable income, leaving nothing to direct toward anything that actually compounds. The difference isn't how much is spent. It's whether spending reflects actual priorities, or simply reflects whatever crosses your path. The fourth pattern: thinking in systems, not willpower. Willpower is not a reliable resource. It fluctuates with stress, fatigue, mood, and circumstance. Any financial plan that depends entirely on willpower will eventually fail during a difficult month, and difficult months always arrive eventually. People who think rich build systems instead of relying on discipline in the moment. Automatic transfers. Separate accounts that are deliberately harder to access. Bills and savings scheduled the same day income arrives, so there's no window of time where the money is sitting there, tempting a different decision. The goal of a system is to make the right financial behavior the default, the thing that happens unless you actively intervene, rather than something that requires ongoing effort every single time. This is why two people with identical incomes and identical intentions can end up in completely different places. One is relying on remembering to save, resisting temptation, and staying motivated indefinitely. The other has removed the need for any of that by building a structure that works automatically, whether motivation is high or low on any given day. The fifth pattern: treating a financial cushion as protection, not idle money. Many people view money sitting untouched in a savings account as money that isn't working. In one narrow sense, that's true. It's not generating the returns that an investment might. But an emergency cushion isn't there to grow. It's there to prevent a much larger loss. Without a cushion, an unexpected expense, a repair, a medical cost, a gap between jobs, has to be covered somehow. Without savings, that somehow is almost always expensive: high interest debt, loans from informal lenders, overdraft charges, or selling something valuable at a loss just to raise cash quickly. People who think rich understand that a modest cushion, sitting apparently idle, is actually doing important work. It's insurance against being forced into much worse financial decisions later. The apparent waste of low-growth savings is, in reality, the thing that protects every other financial habit from being wiped out by a single bad month. The sixth pattern: measuring wealth by direction, not by snapshot. It's tempting to judge financial health by a single number. How much is in the bank right now? But a single snapshot says very little on its own. What matters far more is direction. Is that number growing steadily, shrinking, or staying flat, month after month, year after year? Someone with very little saved but a strong upward trend, driven by consistent habits, is in a fundamentally stronger position than someone with a larger number that's slowly eroding. Thinking rich means paying attention to trend lines instead of moments, tracking whether the gap between income and spending is widening in the right direction over time, not just whether this particular month happened to look fine. Why the mindset comes before the money, not after. Here is the part almost nobody explains clearly: none of these patterns require having money first. Every one of them can be practiced with a very small income, in very small amounts. Paying yourself first can mean setting aside a tiny percentage automatically. Considering the future price of a purchase doesn't require large sums to be meaningful. Spending on purpose instead of everywhere works at any income level. Building a system doesn't need wealth, it needs a decision, made once, and then left alone to run itself. This is why thinking rich precedes being rich, rather than following it. The mindset isn't a reward for already having money. It's the mechanism that produces money slowly, almost invisibly, over years of consistent, unremarkable decisions repeated without exception. Most financial content focuses on tactics: which account to open, which investment to choose, which app to use. Those decisions matter, but they matter far less than the underlying thinking that determines whether any tactic gets followed consistently in the first place. Someone with the right mindset and an ordinary savings account will consistently outperform someone with a sophisticated strategy and no consistent habits behind it. Thinking rich isn't a mystery, and it isn't reserved for people who already have money. It's a short list of specific, learnable patterns: pay yourself first, weigh the future price of spending, spend on purpose rather than everywhere, build systems instead of relying on willpower, treat a cushion as protection rather than waste, and measure direction instead of single moments. None of it requires being wealthy to begin. All of it, practiced consistently, is what eventually makes someone wealthy.